women are at fault for the declining birth rate, but I would say good job. I wouldn't say we're at fault. I would say women are choosing to create a declining birth rate because men have lost their goddamn minds and forgot that we actually run this shit.
Hello, and welcome back to Bree Speaks podcast. I'm your host, Bree Speaks, and today we are talking about the declining birth rate. And yes, I said it's women's fault. Okay, all right, wait. I know you're like, girl, Bree, who created the 6 narcissistic hierarchies of control, which include the first one being the patriarchy, the thing that's holding everybody back, the thing that's oppressing women left and right. You're saying that is women's fault, that the birth rate is declining? What? Yes. So yes, I said it is women's fault, but I'm not saying, but the problem is that you think that it being women's fault means that it's a bad thing. It is women's fault, but fault, that word has a connotation of negativity. And we need to say it is women's great decision. It is women's responsible actions. It is because of women's thoughtful, kind, empathetic nature. It is because of women's connectedness to Mother Earth, her sister, her twin in them, her mother, her daughter, her grandmother, her great granddaughter, all what is above is so below. Women created and run and should be making decisions for this planet here, Earth. And we used to, about 12,000 years plus ago and behind, for most of human history, it was either women making the decisions, women working together, women working in tribes, to raise our youngs together. We would occasionally let a man come around, or one of our girls, if she felt like it, she would go hang out with a man. And then when she came back, if she was around, it was like, all right, okay, you made that choice. You went out there. You knew what was going to happen if you go out there, young lady. And if you really want to go out there, we'll support you in your decision, but we're letting you know what happens. And then she would go out there and she would come back, and then we would take care of her as a with other children within the community. So women were largely running societies, and completely without men, or sometimes alongside, but never beneath. Beneath is new. That is the last 12,000 years out of 300,000 years plus that humans have been alive. And then before that, when we were before Homo sapiens, the whole we're Homo sapiens now. And before it was Homo sapiens, and I don't know, the Neanderthals, that's the white people. They're the Neanderthals. But before the Neanderthals, because they are young, white people are and see, this is the problem. White people are relatively young. White people are young on this planet here, Earth. They are the baby siblings of all ethnicities. I don't even want to say races, because race is not real, and they just made, and the babies, our baby sisters, brothers, we're gonna say brothers, because this is only something this is very patriot. All of these systems, all of my 6 narcissistic social hierarchies of control, they're all masculine entities. Like, they are all masculine entities. And so our European descendant little brethrens were born or birthed or mutated or whatever. I don't know what happened, but they are young and they don't know what they're doing. They didn't know how to do their own spiritual traditions. They didn't have their own customs. They were all, they were eating each other, and they were doing all kinds of just weird things. They're doing weird things with their children. Just literally living their lives backwards. And then that's when they came, and then they exported their mentality through violence on the rest of the world. And that is terrible. It's been awful. White people have been in charge for, about 500 years. And the last 500 years has been the worst 500 years for, I would say, many people on this planet Earth. Not even just Black people, but many people of the planet Earth have had a not great time due to the actions of the European descendant folk. So what does that have to do with the declining birth rate, and how does that loop back to women, Bree? Yes, thanks for asking.
women everywhere have decided to no longer have children and decided we are not going to deal with these men, and we will not give birth to these people for that person to oppress me. I will not give birth to my oppressor, the women in South Korea. Oh, they when I say they opened they opened a can of worms that can never be closed. They open, and that is good. That is a beauty. It's like not even a can of worms. They open the really it's the truth. It's the truth. I feel like women everywhere for so long our power has been stripped from us, and we have forgotten that we run this, like that we give birth to the world, and if that world is going to oppress us, it don't gotta exist. It's not going to exist. I won't allow it to exist. So it's just like they got the game literally backwards and twisted. And so we as the women as a whole across this planet Earth, we are feeling this feeling of we're not going to contribute to the oppression of my not only myself but then my children, and then everyone. Like it's just like we're just like, because I've been thinking this for a little while, y'all. I've been thinking, what we just need to get all women together on the same page, because like racism, they did a number with that, with stratifying us by the colors of our skin and then giving us rewards based on its proximity to whiteness. That concept, ugh. It's a disgusting one, but it was highly effective, especially because it applied to both men and women as like a group. So it like, and then while skin color has nothing to do with your ethnicity, it is not completely 100% like uncorrelated, if that makes sense. So it's like, people from Europe are typically, like that color, that tan, that 8.5 by 11 color. But people from Africa they tend to be, brown. People of African descent tend to be like darker browns. And so, again, why you can be a darker brown person and not be born or from Africa. Well, could you be a darker skin? Yeah, I mean, you could be a darker skin person and not be of Africa. Well, everyone's from African descent. That's what I'm struggling with. Everyone from the darkest of dark person to the lightest of light. Technically, all of y'all are birthed from the womb of a Black woman. So, you just gotta go up far enough. That's we gave humanity. So, anyways, everyone is birthed from a Black woman. Yes. And thus, so I knew it would be difficult to bring people together through race, like past race, like not let race be a factor in how they see or treat one another. I knew that was going to be difficult because race is but like it can be, and it kind of has become entangled with culture, entangled with identity. It has, like, race has become a part of people's identity. And so when you group people by a part of their identity, when you group any people by a part of their, it's going to be hard to get them to take an action that they feel like doesn't have to do with that part of their identity or goes against that part of their identity. So like people in different races are not going to always help each other because it's a part of their identity. And if they're part of their identity, it says like, I don't like this other person and their identity, which is another race. It's easier to pit people against each other when it's by like culture or race or ethnicity. Because that covers the whole family structure. It covers the mom, the dad, the kid. It covers like a more dynamic grouping of people. And it's more correlated with like actions, things that people do, how they think, what they believe in. Like it's so tied into so much. But grouping people by gender, I always felt like I always felt like women could do it. I felt like women could do it. I've always felt like if my biggest thing is whenever I talk about what political systems I would prefer, and the pushback is always, if I say something like a communism or socialism, the pushback is always, well, we've tried that before and it didn't work. And I said, the only people who have tried it are men. I always say the only people who have tried it are men, and yet it failed when men did it. How about we let ladies get in charge? And then if they can point out, and I'm just like, sure, you can point out a woman, a leader who didn't do well. There's always going to be, an example. But I was saying, even a woman who failed at political leadership in the patriarchy, in a patriarchal society, that still, she was set up to fail. She was never supposed to achieve. They were never going to allow her to achieve. They were going to do everything in their power to ensure she didn't achieve, because they don't want her to be a representation of what could happen, of what could be. That's the same thing they did with Haiti, with the Haitians in the Haitian Revolution, when the enslaved people there rebelled, or I don't even want to call it rebelled, because it's just like they stood up for themselves. When they took back their power from these evil, awful people, they won, and they kicked out the French, and then they took over, and they renamed the island Haiti, and they said there will never be slavery here again. But the French then they told Haiti, you all owe us for the money that we lost since you regained your freedom, since you took back your freedom. And because France was a part of the European bloc and US that had the global economic power at the time, they all band together and said, yeah, Haiti, we will not recognize your independence until you pay us all this money, because we've got Black people and we don't want them to get any ideas. We don't want y'all we don't want y'all to be successful, because if y'all are successful, y'all will be an example of being able to push back and successfully beat out Caucasian people and their tomfoolery, their literal tomfoolery. So they did the same thing to Haiti. So please don't point me to a woman who isn't a great representative of a leader, because she's a leader in the patriarchy. What I am saying, what needs to happen, and what is happening with the lowering birth rate across the country, is that women need to, or not need to, we should. Everyone's on their own journey. I can't force anyone to do anything, but I have the faith that women across this country and across this planet we're all waking up and seeing the same writing on the wall that says, let's just not do this. This world is on fire, because the world is on fire. And it's because men are in charge. It's because narcissists are in charge. It's because these awful, evil, terrible people are in charge. They're eating our children. They're touching our children. They're doing all this weird crap, ladies. And to us, and then to the kids, it's just like, there was a time where men were not in charge. That was the vast majority of human history. And we just have to go back to that. And the only way to do that is to shrink the population to a small size, and then make sure we're passing on this message of just like, continue to make it small, 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 small. Let the earth heal, because it needs to heal. And then we can build back a more sustainable, essentially a more sustainable future. Then we could build back a more sustainable future, one that is with our Mother Earth, Mother Nature, one that is, that centers children, that centers love, that centers joy, that centers happiness, that centers self-actualization, that centers knowing thyself, that centers confidence, that centers understanding one's uniqueness, understanding one's purpose. If they feel like they'll helping them find their purpose versus making them a cog in the machine. Like, we can center growth, but like not growth in a like spiritual growth, not growth in a monetary way. We can incentivize community. We can grow. We need to delete the planet Earth as it stands today and start over and build from the ground up, with women in charge, and that's going to take a lot of mental shifts, though, I will say. And so we would have to deconstruct romance. We would have to change the goal, right, from marriage, which is slavery. I don't know. Long-term partnerships between a man and a woman, and so that he is involved in the child's life. But I think the default, again, if it's a woman ran and led town or area, it's like women and children. I'm just like, where do the men go? I know. I'm just like, where do they go? Where do they go? What do they do? Because I'm just like, I personally don't really want them around. I don't want them around like often or like regularly or a lot, like in society. Okay, wait. Where do the men go? Because they can't be trusted. But I'm just like, if they're raised in the matriarch and, they're raised to be themselves and their true selves and not raised in a patriarchal sense, raised to like be this masculine, like aggressive, like person. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. So, okay, you guys can help me in the chat of what would be a good place for men. Because I'm like, even if I feel like even the most like even if in a okay, I feel like in a society of well-raised men, of men who are not awful and they are like they're not patriarchal, like, and I don't mean not patriarchal in like a oh, they're not misogynistic, but like they're still like when I envision a non-patriarchal male society, like a society, like a non-patriarchal society with men and women both living in their truths. Like if all gender norms like left the building and went away and they didn't exist, and literally every soul can walk around in their body like looking like whatever they wanted to, I feel like men, they would, I feel, first of all, there would just be so much more queerness, which would be just lovely. It would just be like, it would be, I feel like if men were actually able to explore their sexuality in a fun and healthy way, and they can play with men and they can play with women, they can do whatever they wanted to and not be judged for it. um yeah, I'm just like, would those men still grape women? That is my question. Would those men still grape women? And I feel like there's going to be some. That's my thing. I feel like there's going to be some. I feel like there's going to be some. I feel like there's going to be some, which is like, that's why, like, you got to get rid of all of them. You got to get rid of all of them. You got to get rid of all of them. You got to get a non-male society, a non-male society. And then how do we vet if a man is able to come into our woman's village? That's the question, I guess. How do we vet? Or we don't. Or it's just like, we don't. Like I said, I feel like the women should be able to leave whenever they want to, and then they can come back. But I feel like men should just make their own society. And women should make ours. And then there's like a DMZ, a demilitarized zone. There's like a space in the middle where men and women can meet up, or like planned social interactions where women who feel like that's what they want to do, they want to be a mother, because that's at the end of the day, that's what's going to end in. That's what's going to end in is if you want to be a mother, you can go to the social parties in the middle of the DMZ. And you can have all the men. I don't know if they will perform, because there's always going to be a bunch of men in there, and no women, because all the women are going to be happy, going to be free. They're going to be like, I don't really feel like doing this. I don't. They're going to be like, I don't need that. Cause that's what it is. It's just like, it's just us living our lives and men trying to get at us. Like that is like that's like that's like, not to say that's life, but like that's what it feels like life can boil down to sometimes. It's like women trying to live a happy, prosperous life, doing whatever they want, and then men trying to get us. And I'm just like, just cut out the middleman. Just cut out the middleman. Of all of this, like I said, so we would have to deconstruct romance, and I don't feel like people are ready to do that. I don't feel like people are ready to live a life where the end goal isn't happily ever after. The end goal isn't, I find a wonderful man and we live together and we have all these kids and live happily ever after. Like, that's not real. That's not real. That's not real. That doesn't exist. It don't exist. There's nowhere it exists. That's what I'm like, that's what I'm learning. That's what I've learned, is that it don't exist. It's like, no matter how perfect a man is, if you have to spend the rest of your life with them, if you have to spend the rest of your life with him in a place together, raising a child, you are going to have to do more work than the male. Full stop. Period. That is it. That is all. There's no if, there's no ands, there's no buts about it. That is a fact. That is from the moment that that seed is starting to grow, you are already giving your energy to that child, to that embryo, to that fetus, to that existence. You are already giving your energy to the existence of that entity. And so the woman will have to do more work. And if we like let that be a truth and not a option, not a maybe, not a possibly, if we had like let every woman on the earth know like that is
the facts, and like not and I let them understand like it's not a little bit of work. Having a baby is not a little bit of work. Physically, spiritually, emotionally, physically, it is a lot of work on every plane of existence. Having a baby is a lot of work. It is a resource intensive job. From the moment that entity exists as an existence in your body to the moment you pass away, that existence will it will take from you. It will take from you. You will give, and you will give happily, but you will be giving, and it will take from you. And so sometimes that giving will feel good, sometimes it will not. And if like, as long as we all understand that as a truth, then I feel like women would be less enthused about undergoing that that mode of action. And I feel like men know this. They know that it's a lot of work, but they just like to gaslight us into thinking that it's not a lot of work. That's just like, taking care of a baby. Oh, it'll be a breeze. It'll be a breeze. It'll be, don't worry about it. You'll be great at it. You're made for this. You're made for this. They just love saying that. They just love it. And then that's why they like you to get pregnant young too, because one, you do have more energy when you're young. I had my kid when I was quite young, and it was not as bad. It felt not as bad, but I didn't have an imagination of what my life could have been had I not chosen that. As every mother will say, no regrets. My child has taught me so much. He was an excellent learning experience, but I learned a lot. He taught me a lot, and that's why I have one, and that's it for me. And that's it for me. That's it for me. I don't care to experience that lesson again. My son's father, shout out to him, help inspire this channel. Because he's a narcissist, him and his mama. I always thought that raising my kid was a lot of work because my son's father, was barely there. But in hindsight, I'm like, I don't know. I'm thinking about how I raised him as a single mom, versus like how I raised him now that I'm married and I do have a husband who is attentive, who is, there, who is like, all the things you ever want in a person, and a husband in a person. It's like I still do the same amount of work. I still do the same amount of work. My son, he's older now. He doesn't now that he's older, he doesn't need a lot of work, but like the same amount of energy I put into mothering making sure he does his homework, making sure he has what he needs, and making sure, he just being a mother. And not to say that's all those things a father shouldn't do. A father should also do all those things, but it's just now the kid has two people doing those things versus one. It's a little less pressure coming off of you as a parent to know that you have backup, or that you don't have to essentially know that you have backup, because it's like, if a man and a woman are both equal, are both as attentive as they're supposed to be over their child, like the amount of work that you put that goes into rearing that child doesn't really decrease. It just expands. It doesn't decrease. It expands. It's just like when the more adults a child has in their life, the more perspectives of adulthood that child gets to see. But as a parent, not as a mother or as a father, but as a parent, there's a base level of attentivity. There's a base level of of parenting, of energy that goes into parenting that cannot go any lower. That can't go no lower, no matter how many partners you have. It's there's a base level of that's your child, so you have to do to be a good parent. You can just be an absent parent, sure, but if you are a parent in a child's life and you are a good person, a good with morals and integrity, and you want the best for this other human that you are raising, you want the best for them, there's a base level of effort and energy that goes into that child rearing, no matter if you are a man or a woman. If you are a good parent, there is a base level of energy that goes into rearing that child. So having a second parent there doesn't that doesn't make having a child a less energetic or resource intensive task for a woman. For a man as well. Again, if you are a man, there's a certain level of energy that goes into child rearing if you are going to be a good, present, like healthy, authentic, like good father, like you should also know when the doctor's appointments are. You should also know what size the baby's clothes are. You should also know the teachers' names. You should also know when the parent teacher conferences are. Like you both will know these things, and so it's like it doesn't. When you get a partner, it doesn't actually lower your burden of effort. It still is a large burden of effort to have a child, and like that is, I just feel like we need to understand that as like not as a woman but like as a good decent parent and as a woman, but like again that just the whole physical 9 months part, that's a distinctly woman part, not just a parent part. That's a distinctly woman part. So like we have that parent part, and then we also have the woman part, the womb part, the physical part, and all of that is a lot of resource intensive effort for bringing a child from spirit world into existence here on planet Earth. It's a lot of work, and then raising it to be a good and whole human, it's a lot of work, period. Whew. I don't know, so I just came to that realization, and so in my new matriarchal world that I'm just making up, having, I don't know, the concept of marriage doesn't make sense to me. The concept of marriage, as a currently married woman, I know, but like in my mind, in this logic based matriarchal world, marriage doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Like it makes sense to have male figures present in that child's life. Yes. Does it make sense for that man and that woman to dedicate the rest of their lives to being together as a monogamous couple in the traditional way that we think of marriage? In my society, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. That level of ownership of one another, it disconnects people from communities. It disconnects especially a woman from her community, because then she ends up servicing the man more than she services the community. So in my matriarchal world, women can't they can't get married. There's no marriage. If you like them, you can hang out with them, you can talk to them, you can do stuff with them, you can do whatever you want with them. But y'all are not married. Y'all like each other a lot, and y'all might have a baby because of it. And the baby will end up with not say end up with the baby would end up with the mother and the community, but the male would have access to the child, possibly under supervision. Or maybe not. Like I said, there's a vetting. There has to be a vetting. So yes, women are at fault for the declining birth rate, but I would say good job. I wouldn't say we're at fault. I would say women are choosing to create a declining birth rate because men have lost their goddamn minds and forgot that we actually run this shit. Like we I guess we forgot too, and that's the problem. And that is why, if you want to say fault that we're here, if you want to say it's our fault that we're here, um maybe we got to take accountability. Because at one point we were in charge of the world, and now we're not. And so, and I'm just like, I know that men could have come together and used violence, but women back in the day, we used to use violence back. We would violence back men. There was no problem about violencing back men. Like that was the whole point of the matriarch, is like we stand together to protect women and children against those who would come to hurt our community. Like that was our whole thing. And then I guess we lost at some point. But I don't know. I feel like there was just some pygmies, some ancestral pygmies that then converted people over, and then men created religion. Religion did come after pigs. Men took over through it had to be through brute strength, but I'm just like, women are so intelligent. I'm trying to like tap into my ancestors right here, because I'm just like, what happened that women lost control of the planet because we had it? And I would like to know what happened. It was because we started planting, agricultural revolution, and settling, and then having land ownership. where the men started defending against other men in order to like defending attacks. And so we did start leaning on strength for protection of land. And then the lineages started going down through men, and then ownership started going down through men because they had the strength to protect the land. That's what I've been getting more land. So that's what I feel like it's because women we got lazy. That's what it sounds like. We wanted to settle. So we settled down and we wanted to settle. And we settled with these men and we made these communities when we were always in motion before. We were more nomadic peoples. Not to say everyone, but I mean I feel like everyone had to be nomads to like start before anyone did any agriculture. Everyone had to be a nomad because crops will run out here, so you got to go somewhere else, or like the seasons would change, so you have to move where it's warmer. So everyone had to be nomads to start. We were moving around, and when you get stagnant, you get sick, and you start when you don't move around enough, you get lazy. You become entitled, and that's probably where narcissism was born. Is that entitlement? People felt, oh, this is my land. I have access to these resources without actually having for me to work for it. I can send someone else to work for it because I own this land. And there you go. It's like and then you create entitlement. Once you create entitlement and you feel like you deserve something, you feel like something is yours, something belongs to you, and you don't have to work for it just because you own it, is yours. It's like that's it. Um, you create entitlement. That creates narcissism. That creates then that's when then narcissism is born. It's like, oh, I am above y'all because I have all these things, because I own all these things, even though I didn't work for it, but I'm entitled to it because I am who I am. And so all these things are mine, and I'm because I have all these things and all these things are mine, I am better than you. I am more valuable than you. I am above you. I am worth more than you. And now you've created a hierarchy. And then I would always say, the moment you create a hierarchy, you're going to create the people who have power, and then the people who have not, who have no power, or who you make feel like have no power, or this system makes feel like you have no power. Because when you create these systems, because the system is like, oh, I have this land, and if you try to take it, I will unalive you, I will hurt you, I will harm you with these, strong men that I have. And so this is my land, my territory. These men are my bodyguards, essentially. And then, of course, the men figured out, I guess if they didn't have to listen to women, or like, oh, they can marry, like, I'm telling you, we just got tricked. We got tricked. Some man was just like, oh, we own this together. And the and we started once we traded, like, we gave our power to men. We gave our power to men at some point, and we have to take accountability to that for that. Women as a whole across the planet. Um, but it's time for us to wake up, and we're all slowly waking up. I see everyone, so I'm like boop 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 boop. And so yeah, keep shrinking the population. Women, we are doing a great job, and in just a very short amount of generations, I think we will be able to turn this whole fucking boat around. We will turn this whole fucking boat around, and things will be better. I hope to make a video called "A Vision for the Future" soon, where I want to get like deeper into like actual government policies and like education policies and like how money would move. I can't wait. So, because I'm just like, people feel like these things are impossible. That's my problem. Is people like men have made us feel like a utopian society is impossible. Like there have to be haves and have-nots. There has to be suffering. There has to be like there are always going to be challenges on planet Earth. Like that's why we're here, is to undergo challenges and then grow. And so I think I don't know if I ever finished my sentence earlier, but I was going to say not grow in the get more money sense, but grow in the self-development sense, grow in the individual sense, grow as a person. So yeah, men have made us think that suffering is inevitable and it is like a way of life and a fact of life. But I sit here and I think about once I see that everything is narcissism, and which comes from the male being on top. When you put the male on top, versus either having the female on top or having some sort of yin and yang balance. But from a spiritual perspective, you are supposed to have a little bit more feminine energy than masculine energy, just a little bit more. I would say, like, a nice 4-to-3 ratio, because a balance is not masculine energy is too. You want to keep the one in charge of life. You want to keep them in charge of life. You just want to keep it that way. Is the best thing you can do for literally humanity, and literally for all creatures of the world. Just put the people who are biologically in charge of life, literally, actually, politically, economically, and sociologically in charge of life. Like, I just don't understand why that's like, why are we even talking about this? Why is this a question? What's going on? So, anyways, I hope to make a podcast soon that will dictate like actual, like paint a picture of a real world that we could have, like, just again, just logically, just like how the money will move, who will be in charge, which, this place, there are no hierarchies, how things will work. I want to, like, from a policy standpoint, I want to break that down because it's so possible. It's so possible. And I feel like once everyone sees like how easy the life could be, hopefully everyone will be like, huh, well, why isn't life like that? This is silly. You would see, this is silly. This is all very silly. It's like starving when there's an apple tree right in front of you. Like, that's what we're doing right now. We're starving when there is an apple tree right in front of us. We could just eat. And there are these magicians, literal magicians. These politicians are magicians. And these men have been magicians, and they've put a spell on us and wave their magic wand. It was just like, no, there's no apple in front of you. No, there's nothing but desert. There's no way you can survive right now. All you have to do is just wait, and someone will bring us food. Meanwhile, they're like sneaking apples behind their back the whole time while they watch you starve out. Like, that's what's happening right now. We're under the spell of an evil magician, and we're not eating the fruit that is right in front of our faces. That's what the world is right now. All right. Thank you for listening. I hope this was informative and gave you a different perspective. If you would like to support in any sort of way, you can always send a nice donation to Cash App, because what's nicer than raw money? Just money. Well, lots of things, but anyways, capitalism. And if you'd like a hoodie, I'm still selling my free to ADHD hoodie here, with the code, use the code podcast to get $20 off, for for a price of $25 at this time, which is a steal. I'm telling you. For as nice and cozy as that hoodie is, $25 is a gift from the Tooth Fairy. I'm not the Tooth Fairy, so a gift from Bree Speaks. And it comes with a handwritten note. I've been doing handwritten notes for all of my clients, or customers or friends. I don't know, supporters, whomever you want to be. For all the people, all the souls who are watching, who are like, yeah, let's support her and spread her messages. Because ideas are important. Ideas are important. I am not an idea capitalist. There's a podcaster, and I won't say, there are two podcasters I would say, that I've talked to on like TikTok and really just on TikTok. And I've like, well, and some through email, and they are bigger than me. Both of them are much bigger than me, much bigger platforms. But I've given them like my ideas, and I've pushed my ideas onto them. And so now I'll be listening to them, utilize my ideas and my concepts on their podcast, on their much bigger platforms. And my ideas and concepts are just ideas and concepts. And so while I'm like, technically they could accredit me, but I just put together a compilation of things that already existed. And so I don't want people to feel like, oh, you have, and matter of fact, and I don't want people to, you shouldn't credit, oh, I got this from Bree Speaks. You can send people, please do send people my way if you want to give people a better way of like explaining these concepts. And, here I am doing it. But I would rather people do exactly what these two podcasters are doing, which is just learn the concepts, take the concepts, and then utilize the concepts, and then teach the concepts to other people through their own lens, through their own interpretation, in a way that reaches their audiences. And I'm just like, because like I don't like I love that I'm doing what I'm doing, but what I want is to spread the message. What I want is for people to think differently. What I want is for people to see the patterns and not get tricked by them the way that so many of us do throughout most of our lives, and to have everyone have the collective understanding that this is what this is, so that you can recognize it and then choose to do differently instead of falling into the trap. So all that to say, please do make sure you subscribe if you don't subscribe already. And support in any way that you can. Thanks for coming, and I will talk to you next time. Until then, bye-bye.